Thank you, Suzanne.
Thank you.
Our speaker today has been a religious science minister since 1986. She founded the East Hawaii Center for Spiritual Living on the Big Island of Hawaii, where she served until 2000. Following a call from Spirit, she moved to Vancouver, BC, where she served for 10 years. Again, in 2010, her vocation took her to become the spiritual director of the Center for Spiritual Living in Baltimore, Maryland. In August 2014, she moved back to the land of her birth and became the spiritual director for the Eureka, California Center. In the meantime, she has served the Centers for Spiritual Living organization as the chair of the online practitioner team, a new minister's mentor, a member of the publishing team, sacred practices team, and various other committees. Most recently, she was a regional support coordinator for the Northwest region of the mainland. Most of you have already guessed who she is. It is my great honor and privilege to announce my teacher and my good friend, Reverend Angelica Jayne Taggart.
Aloha, everyone. I was so hoping to be there with you in person. However, with the world the way it is at the moment, I'm sitting in my kitchen on my laptop. So I'm truly grateful for the wonders of technology. You know, I've managed to run the Eureka Church, the Eureka Center for Spiritual Living, from this exact space for almost a year and a half now. And yes, I'm grateful, very grateful. My talk this morning is entitled GPS, and I want to read to you a statement from our global vision. We envision humanity awakening to its spiritual magnificence and discovering the creative power of thought, a world where each and every person discovers his or her own personal power and ability to create an individual life that works within a world that works for everyone. This is a powerful statement. And what I know about this statement is, and all the statements on our global vision, is that we have to trust that these things are possible. You know, on the back of all of the pieces of American money, it's written, "In God we trust." And I love that reminder when I happen to see it again. I know that I have faith in God. I feel the presence of God. I see the results in my life and in the lives of the people around me. But do I always trust infinite intelligence to work through me? Sometimes I do, sometimes I don't. Probably just like you. And you know, trusting God requires not necessarily knowing how something is going to come about or when it's going to come about. It's really about knowing that the infinite intelligence is much more powerful than we have thought. And it knows the how, the ways, and the when. And I looked at this idea of trusting, and I realized we basically go through 4 levels of trusting. 4 degrees, you might call them. At the start of our spiritual path, we don't necessarily know God or even trust it. Trust is a question. Can I trust God? This degree is "In God I Trust," with a question mark after it. But we go on a search, don't we? Books come to us. People talk to us about places they go. We might see something on TV or read something in a magazine that leads us on our quest. And so then the second degree is in God I trust, ... The first one was, can I trust, with a question mark. The second one is, in God I trust, ... And those dots to me represent a but. So in this stage, we're getting into our spiritual path. We're starting to trust a little bit, and we've seen a few results. And yet in this stage, we tend to offer trades or try to bargain with God to get God's attention. And this is not really trusting God. It's playing let's make a deal with God, hoping to gain God's favor with bribes. The third degree is in God I trust, period. However, sometimes life tends to paint us into corners where we don't have time to make bargains with God. It feels like we have no choices or no options. It seems to be that we sort of grit our teeth and go, okay, God, here I am. I need help. I don't have any place to go. I trust you to take care of me. And this, I think, is called the foxhole religion. And when our ordeal is over, we act as if it was a one-time event. It's easy to forget that trust worked. That idea of calling it foxhole religion, I could just imagine people in the military and in experiences they might have had where they've been in those foxholes. Praying, definitely. So the fourth degree then is after we've had a few of these foxhole experiences, we come to the fourth degree. We learn that God is real. We can say with faith, in God I trust, with an exclamation point. And we start thinking, oh, God is so wonderful. God takes care of me. We know that God or the law does the work, and we're the beneficiaries. We trust infinite intelligence to work through us completely, and God's endless grace abounds. In God we trust. And yet in all four of these degrees, God is out there. And so I want to add a fifth degree, which is knowing, absolutely knowing from the very depths of our being that it's not God working through me as for me, it's working as me all the time. That there isn't God and me in this body, there's only God expressing as me. And I don't know what we would put there. Maybe 2 exclamation points. In God I trust, 2 exclamation points. But we have to remember that, yes, I said a moment ago, God wasn't out there, but the truth is it's everywhere. So it's in here and it's out there and it's everywhere. But I want us to really remember that we're in a unique, individualized expression of this one presence and power. And it's here to be used by us. We're using it all the time. And so when we're using it, perhaps what we really need to have is a GPS. So I looked up GPS, and it means Global Positioning System, which means I can sit in my brand new car, and I can even say to my car, I don't even have to put in the address anymore if I'm looking for something in Eureka where I live. All I have to do is say, hey Google, take me to Staples. And suddenly the map shows up. Google
directions on your phone.
I have a Google Mini in my living room, and it just says, you could ask for directions on your phone. Well, that's what I was just talking about. Anyway, so my phone then shows the Google Maps, and it gives me verbal directions on how to get there, where to turn, etc. So I figure that our intuition is our GPS. Have you ever thought about that? In a way, I think of our intuition as that voice of the divine. Only the divine being infinite, its voice would be so amazingly awesome. It would be so loud, it might be a little hard for us to understand it. And so we developed this thing called intuition to be able to hear it better. And sometimes we're told when we're younger that our intuition really doesn't matter. And yet as we move along our spiritual path, we realize it really does matter. That is the voice of the divine. So I have a few definitions, or I guess you could say definitions, a few ideas for GPS. The first one I want to share with you is gut processing station. And here there are two main signals received and felt. The first one is contraction, the second one is expansion. Now, contraction feels really dense and heavy. It's tight. It might even be paralyzing. It's like intuition's red light. Whatever changes we're working on in our life, and we're always working on changes, that's the only constant there is here really is change, correct? If we're feeling contracted while we're working on the change, it might be a good idea to stop and look at what that feeling is. It might be perhaps that job that we thought we wanted so badly because it paid so well really wasn't the right one for us. It could be a significant other that we wanted so badly that perhaps might not have been the right one for us. And a lot of times we ignore that contraction. And we find ourselves later on going, why didn't I pay attention? Why didn't I pay attention? Now, on the other side of contraction is expansion. And expansion feels light. It brings us a sense of relief, a sense of peace, a knowingness. It's the green light. And when we feel this, then we know we're in alignment with our highest good. So the first GPS was gut processing station. The second one is gratitude perception system. I'm grateful for noticing my GPS. Sometimes I'm grateful when I notice I get up in the morning and it's not on. And so then I have to have the good sense to turn it on so that I can be recalibrated for clearer directions. I love that when I'm driving and I decide I know better than my GPS and I make a turn and then it goes recalibrating, and then tells us how to go from there. And that's one of the things I know about the universe, is that it will always move us in the direction that we're supposed to be going, even if we choose to go off on another direction. And that's when we need to look at that contraction and expansion as well. But this whole idea of being grateful, to me, is one of the most major keys of our spiritual toolbox. Being grateful means that we're open to perceiving all the, what I call the love letters from the universe. And the more grateful we are, the more we get. I read Sarah Ben Brainock's book, Simple Abundance, back in 1995. And she suggested in that book that every day you write down 5 things that you're grateful for. So I have been doing it since then, since 1995. I have journal after journal now filled with things that I'm grateful for. And some nights when I'm done writing, I love looking through the pages, like going to the front of the book and seeing what the date was and what was I grateful for then. One of the interesting things that I got, an interesting idea I got just recently, and I can't remember who it was from. It might have been from Reverend Jim or Dr. Jim Lockhart or someone else, I don't remember. But what they learned was that they went to their mentor for something, and he told them to write down 5 things that they were grateful for every day, and that they always had to be new. That you couldn't write down yesterday, oh, I love the fact that it was a beautiful day, and then today write down, I love the fact that it was a beautiful day. You had to find 5 new things every day. So I've been working on that. And sometimes my new thing is, I'm glad my cats came in instead of trying to stay out all night. Or something really simple. I'm glad I saw that piece of paper on the floor and I picked it up. Something really simple, but something new every single day. It makes it a little more challenging, but it works. And one of the things I want to remind us of is that the more we focus on gratitude, the more we get things to be grateful for. Dr. Holmes says in the textbook, we believe that the kingdom of heaven is within us, and that we experience this kingdom to the degree that we become conscious of it. So why not be conscious of all the wonderful things that we have to be grateful for? My third idea is the idea that comes from the notes that we got from the Global Vision people at the beginning of the year, and that is that GPS stands for God Positioning System, or Guidance Positioning System. So it's that connection to the divine, to the recognizing the powerful presence within us that keeps us on track in our lives. And how do we do that? How do we keep allowing ourselves to pay attention to that divine spirit? I think that the way we do it is through spiritual mind treatment, through doing affirmations, through meditation. I really believe in meditation. I think that going into the stillness and allowing myself to contemplate something I've read that strikes me as being very spiritual, or just going into the silence and allowing myself to let go of the boundaries of my body and remember that the truth of me is so much more than I could possibly ever imagine. I think that that's really an important way to start our day, or even continue our day if we choose to do meditation in the morning or in the evening. I just think it's one of the most important tools we have. But what I know is that as we're allowing ourselves to pay attention to this God positioning system, sometimes we find that we have to recalculate the route, or recalibrate the route rather, so that it can lead us in a new direction where we can better hear the call, or the voice of the divine. Right now, with the world the way it is, and all the things that have been revealed, and I believe they've been revealed to be healed, we really have had to look at how we can recalibrate our God positioning system. Excuse me, my cat just jumped up on the table. We need to allow ourselves to pay attention to those clear signals that are always coming through to us, so that we can act according to the divine principle of love. Love is the most amazing, it's the greatest healing agent in our universe. And if we can allow ourselves to love absolutely everyone and everything, then our route, our spiritual path, will always be calibrated for our highest and best good and for the highest and best good of everyone around us. I know that all of us are on this journey together. We're moving forward in an amazing way. Doesn't look like it, doesn't feel like it. But the truth is, if we keep allowing ourselves to find some good in it, to find things to be grateful for, to remember who we are, then we're part of this amazing change that's going on in our world. We're part of the vanguard that is bringing in peace, that is bringing in the healing of all the things that we're discovering needed to be healed. You know, before all of this pandemic stuff happened, I had no idea of the level of racism in our world. I'm just marching along in my own little world that's full of plants and peaceful people and kitties and all of this. And then I started paying attention and realizing, wow, even in my thinking I'm so conscious, some places I'm not. And so there, I allowed myself to be recalibrated. We're all being recalibrated to this higher realm of consciousness. And I'm so glad that all of you are on this journey with me. It is a wonderful journey if we'll allow it to be so. If we'll allow ourselves to be filled with love in any way we possibly can, we'll be part of the change, or rather the up-leveling of humanity's consciousness. That to me is what's happening here. We're being up-leveled, and we're part of that process of up-leveling. And it's a good thing. You know, it's a God thing. And so thank you for being on this journey with me. And let's go into treatment. How grateful I am to remember that we're living in an infinite field of creative potentiality. And this field is both love and law. And so we stand in love, honoring the law, knowing that who we are is much more than we ever thought we were before. We're allowing ourselves now to stand proudly, knowing that the universe is working through us for the higher good of not only ourselves but all humanity. And so I speak this word in the first person for each of us to make it easier to take it in. I declare that right now I'm ready. I'm absolutely willing to let my GPS be recalibrated so that I am on that path of higher consciousness. And I'm ready to live my life so that I bring people along with me. I'm ready to know that in every area of my life, in my finances, in my health, in my creativity, and in my relationships, that I'm coming from, acting from a higher place in consciousness, a place of absolute love. I love what I do. I love who I'm with. I love this body. No longer do I think any thoughts about this body being sick or old or fat or tired or any of that. This is my earth suit. And I celebrate it because I know it works perfectly. I know the people around me are God as well as I am. And so I celebrate them and the love that they bring into this experience. As I love them, they love me back. And together we love the planet, we love the world. We allow ourselves to pay more attention to the environment and to everything, because we know that love heals. It's the greatest healing agent there is. And we allow ourselves to be blessed beyond measure financially. I declare that each one of us has all that we need right here and right now. And it is good. And I know that we do the work of our heart. And even if we think we're in a job that isn't, we allow ourselves to love that job anyway. Letting go of anything we have against anything and just being love. And so I celebrate life and absolutely every single part of it. And I celebrate the East Hawaii Center for Spiritual Living, knowing that lives, so many lives have been changed and are still being changed for the highest good. And I release these words into divine law, knowing that they are already so. And so it is.
And so it is. Oh.
I thank you. Mahalo for letting me be your spiritual teacher this morning. And I hope to see you soon. And this is here's an affirmation that I've been using for a couple weeks now since it came to me in a meditation. The pandemic is over. Woo-hoo. And all are well. And so it is.
So it is.
Thank you very much.
Woohoo! I believe Reverend Angelica is watching us right now. So if you can turn around, wave your hands right at the camera. Thank you, Reverend Angelica from East Hawaii Center for Spiritual Living. Woohoo! Yes. Wow. Wow. I remember the first time I heard Reverend Angelica speak was at a cinema in August of 2019. At that time, I had no idea that I would be standing here. What a wonderful journey we take. And I'm so happy that her GPS system worked on my GPS system, and we all just came together as one. So please let's say thank you to her one more time. And one of the things that she did bring to our attention is that we do gratitudes every single day. Well, here comes the challenge. I got to think of a new way to say thank you to each and every one of you every day for all the financial support that you give the center. A new way of doing it? Come on. Because every single day I know that there is a gratitude that both Reverend Kathy and myself and Bonnie and all of our practitioners do to say thank you to you all for the way that you support us here. Because you know, as we know, that without you, we don't get to do this in this way. So thank you so very much. And let me tell you some ways that we can do that. So you know that we have our donate buttons. We have them both on our computers. We have them on our phones. You can do it through PayPal. You can visit us at our website, hawaiicsl.org. Should I say it again? hawaiicsl.org. And of course, we love receiving checks in the mail. And if you're looking for our address, you can find it both in the bulletin where there's another donate button, or you can find it on our website. And of course, if you are here, We have two bowls. Susan is standing right next to one in the back, that is just with an open arm saying, come on, people, fill me up. So thank you, thank you, thank you. So right now, please, if you do have your offering on you, please take it into your hand. If you don't, and you'd like to place your hand on your heart as a way, I'd like you to repeat this affirmation after me. Divine love, in and through me, blesses and multiplies all that I have, all that I give, all that I receive, and all that I am. And so it is.